Hello. I'm down here in my little wood shop that I have here at the house and just working on a couple of things. Want to look at something that I've been working on for a little while. A few weeks ago, I ended up starting to pull apart this table that I had. It was a table that was my grandmother's, and I was told it was black walnut, which would be a very beautiful table. Then when I got the table, though, I remembered that my grandmother decided at one point to paint it, and painted it with a pretty thick black paint on it. And so I started looking at it to see what kind of was lying underneath. And you can see this one board here. It's got a little bit more of a dark color to it. That it was like a black walnut. So I figured I could sand this down, strip the paint off, and it'd be a nice, beautiful black walnut table. But as I started looking at it more and I cut into it, I noticed that this is actually just a solid wood in the center, and they put a black walnut veneer on top of it, just this layer to make sure that it had that look of black walnut. I've been amazed at how much more I learned from the woodworking in relation to what that means in life. Woodworking is a hobby of mine. I enjoy doing it. But I've noticed that when we start looking at things like this, sometimes it doesn't always appear to be what we see initially. There's more to it than what meets the eyes. And it's something that I've seen very common in our world today of how do we treat other people? How do we look at other people in such a way that we show them the love of God? We show them grace, or we show them mercy? Or do we initially act in a way that isn't the best way to act? Looking at these pieces of wood of this table made me realize that under the surface, there's more than what we see initially. Ephesians 4:32 tells us to be kind, to show compassion, to show forgiveness, just as Christ has done for us. And how many times do we initially see the response of someone? We initially see their actions, or maybe something they say, or just their appearance that we first see them, and initially we think they don't know Jesus. Initially we think they don't have a relationship with God because of something that we perceive from something we see. And even though this may be beat up and have notches in it and paint that's trying to cover some of the things underneath, when we actually strip that away, we may see something else underneath. With me doing woodworking and stuff, my favorite process is the sanding process. And I know that's not a popular thing for many people. But the more that I sand to get this product to a very nice texture, the easier the stain will go on, the easier any polyurethane will go on, the more beautiful that product will be when I take that diligence to sand it away. Sand the roughness, sand the scratches, sand the imperfections. In our lives as Christians, we have to come to the understanding that to follow Christ means that we have to be understanding that there are things that God is going to reveal to us that we need to let go in our lives. We need to give over to Him. We need to stop living into those things that we are doing and start living into His will that He commands us through the Scriptures to follow. Jesus took His life and placed it in the hands of the Romans as He was put on the cross and crucified for our sins. When we give our lives to Christ and we accept Jesus, that He gave us that salvation through His death and resurrection, we are no longer seen by God by our outer appearance, by the mistakes that we've made, the scars that we have on our hearts or in our spirit. We are now seen that we are a child of God, that we are a beautiful masterpiece. And each day He sands away those little faults, those little shortcomings as we grow closer to Him. Today, what are things you need to give up to God? What are things you need to let go of? Your worries, your fears, or your doubts? Just like these products that I'm working on and trying to make into a beautiful creation. When we live our lives for God each day, He turns us into a beautiful creation. we have to give ourselves to Him, fully sacrificing our wants and needs to be obedient to Him. I hope this encourages you, and I hope you can encourage someone today.